A woman came to me once after one of my lectures in Lowe's Angels. She was 41 years old, a school teacher, and she had been trying for 11 years to find a husband. She had prayed, she had asked, she had waited, and nothing had come. She sat in the back row that evening, arms folded, not sure she believed a word I was saying, but she was there, and that is always the beginning. I told her something that night that I will tell you now. I said, "The trouble is not that your desire is too large. The trouble is that you keep asking from the wrong state. You fall asleep as a woman who wants a husband, and so that wanting crystallizes around you like a shell. You wake each morning and the wanting is still there, because the state you carried into sleep is the state you carried back out." She looked at me then, for the first time, without her arms folded. I said, "Tonight when you lie down, do not ask, do not want. Instead, feel what it would feel like if it were already so." That conversation changed her life, and what I taught her that night, I will teach you now. In these next 30 minutes, I am going to give you the single most powerful technique I ever taught. I called it the state akin to sleep, and I used it myself for decades. Every crystallization of assumption I ever experienced, every door that opened, every circumstance that rearranged, came through this one practice. This is not theory. I am not asking you to believe me on faith alone. I am asking you to try it tonight, one night, and then tell me what happens. The state akin to sleep is not a meditation. It is not an affirmation. It is not a ritual. It is a precise inner act performed at the threshold between waking and sleep, where your conscious mind relaxes its grip and the deeper power of consciousness becomes fully operative. You are imagination, and imagination creates reality. And tonight, I will show you exactly how to use that power. Let me begin where everything must begin, which is with the nature of consciousness. You believe you live in a physical world. You believe that the things around you, the walls, the street, the people in your life are solid and primary. And you believe that you are a small thing inside that world, hoping and trying and waiting for it to respond to you. I tell you from my own experience, that is precisely backwards. Consciousness is the only reality. What you observe as the outer world is a projection. It is a shadow cast by what you carry within. Your assumptions, not your wishes, not your hopes, but your deep, felt, inhabited assumptions, these are the causes of everything that appears in your life. Now, most people understand this as a concept. They nod their heads. They say, "Yes, I understand that my thoughts create my reality," and then they go back to worrying, doubting, rehearsing what they do not want, and wondering why nothing changes. The trouble is not the understanding. The trouble is the state. A state is not a thought you think once. A state is the felt reality you inhabit. When you are truly in a state, you do not think about your desire, you think from it. You see the world through the eyes of the person who already has what you want. The assumption is not something you hold, it is something you wear, like a garment, until it becomes your skin. This is the critical distinction, and it is why technique matters, because the conscious, waking mind is a doubter. It observes the current facts of your life, the empty bank account, the silent phone, the condition that has not changed, and it says, "This is real, I must deal with this, I cannot pretend otherwise," and it is right. In the waking state, with your conscious defenses fully active, you cannot easily override what your senses report to you as real. But there is a threshold. There is a borderland between waking and sleep where the conscious mind releases its grip, the body begins to relax, the critical faculty dims, and in that state, what I call the state akin to sleep, the imagination becomes fully operative. What you impress upon yourself in that state goes directly into the deep subconscious, bypassing all resistance. This is what I taught for 30 years, and this is why I called it the operant power of consciousness working at its most accessible moment. The man in the Bible understood this. When it is written that God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and while he slept, he shaped the rib into woman, this is not a historical account of bone surgery. This is a teaching about states. God, which is your own consciousness, acts upon you most powerfully in the state akin to sleep. What is shaped there becomes fact in the outer world. I tell you from my own experience. I have used this technique to cross oceans without money, to find housing in impossible circumstances, to heal conditions that physicians had declared permanent, not once, many times. And always through the same door, the threshold of sleep, where imagination becomes the only law. Let me now tell you precisely how it is done, because there is a method, there is a technique. And when you understand it, truly understand it, not as theory but as practice, you will never again go to sleep the way you did before. We have established something important together. We have seen that consciousness is the cause, not the effect, of the world you inhabit. We have seen that your assumptions, not your circumstances, determine what crystallizes around you. And we have seen that there is a specific doorway, the state akin to sleep, where the imagination operates without resistance. But knowing the doorway exists is not the same as walking through it. What I am about to give you is the precise method, the exact inner moves, the way you position your imagination, the scene you construct, and the feeling you must inhabit before you allow yourself to drift into sleep. Stay with me. This is where everything changes. The state akin to sleep begins, as all true states do, with the body. Before anything else, you must be still, not merely quiet still. Lie down, close your eyes. Let the body release its tensions one by one, beginning with the face, which holds more tension than most people realize, moving through the shoulders, the chest, the hands. You are not forcing relaxation. You are simply allowing it. You are giving your body permission to stop performing. As the body stills, you will notice something. The mind begins to produce images spontaneously, random fragments, faces, places, objects without context. This is the hypnagogic state beginning, the borderland I have spoken of. This is the threshold you are seeking. Many people try to use affirmations at this moment. They repeat words, phrases, statements of what they want. And they wonder why nothing comes of it. The answer is simple. Words are not states, words are symbols, and the subconscious does not respond to symbols, it responds to feeling. What you need as you enter the state akin to sleep is not a statement, it is a scene. I want you to construct a single, specific, sensory scene that implies your wish fulfilled. One scene, not a montage of all the things you want, not a vision of your whole new life. One small, intimate, sensory scene that could only exist if your desire were already a fact. If you want to be married, do not imagine a wedding. Imagine the weight of a ring on your finger as you go about an ordinary morning. Imagine glancing across a room and meeting the eyes of your beloved with the easy familiarity of someone who has done this 1,000 times. If you want money, do not imagine a number in a bank account. Imagine the feeling in your body as you write a check for something you could never have afforded before, and the feeling is ease, not excitement. Ease, because this is normal now. This is your life. If you want to be healed, do not imagine tests and results. Imagine the simple, unremarkable feeling of a body that works, walking up a flight of stairs without thinking about it, waking in the morning without bracing for pain. The scene must be specific, it must be sensory, and it must be short enough to repeat in your mind like a loop. Now, as your body relaxes and the threshold approaches, you begin to play your scene. You do not watch it as though it were a film. You inhabit it. You feel the sensations from the inside. You feel the weight of the ring. You feel the texture of the check beneath your fingers. You feel the air in your lungs as you climb those stairs without effort. As you repeat the scene, allow it to feel normal. This is the key that most people miss. They inject excitement into their imaginal act, and excitement is a signal that the thing is still outside, still future, still not here. The feeling you are cultivating is not excitement. It is normalcy, the quiet, settled feeling of a desire already crystallized, the feeling of it being so ordinary that you barely notice it anymore. Persist in this scene until you feel what I call the click, a moment of settling, like something locking into place, or until you drift naturally into sleep while inhabiting the scene. Either is sufficient. Either means the impression has been made. If your mind wanders, return gently to the scene. Do not fight distraction with force. Force is the enemy of this state. Simply return, again and again, if necessary. With each return, you go a little deeper. Some nights the scene will feel vivid and real immediately. Other nights it will feel effortful, flat, like moving furniture in a dark room. Do not interpret the quality of the feeling as evidence of the technique working or failing. The subconscious receives the impression regardless of whether the waking mind is satisfied with the performance. What matters is that you showed up, that you persisted, that you did not go to sleep as the person who wants, but as the person who has. I must tell you something about persistence, because it is the quality that separates those who crystallize their assumptions from those who spend years wondering why nothing changes. The world does not rearrange itself in response to a single imaginal act. Usually, sometimes it does. I have seen it happen with a speed that leaves the person breathless. But for most desires, in most circumstances, the law requires what I call persistence in the assumption. This does not mean endless effort. It means returning to your scene night after night with the same faithful expectation that the farmer returns to his field after planting. The farmer does not dig up the seed each morning to see if it has sprouted. He knows the law of the harvest. He plants, he waits, he trusts, and in due season, what he has planted emerges. You are planting imagination into the soil of the subconscious through the state akin to sleep. And the world, your world, the only world that concerns you, will rearrange itself to conform to what you have planted. The state you occupy determines the world you see. Plant the state of the wish fulfilled, water it each night at the threshold of sleep, and do not be moved from your assumption by what your senses report in the days that follow. The gap between imaginal act and physical fact is simply the season of growth. It is not evidence of failure. I tell you from my own experience, the law is perfect. It has never failed. When it appears to fail, the cause is always the same. The assumption was not truly inhabited, or it was abandoned before the season of growth was complete. The law itself does not fail. Let us place what we have covered together. You now know the method. You know how to still the body, how to enter the threshold, how to construct the one specific scene that implies your wish fulfilled, how to feel from the inside rather than observe from the outside. And you know that persistence, faithful, steady, unshaken persistence, is the quality that carries the assumption from imagination into the world you can touch. Now I am going to give you the precise application, and then I am going to guide you through your first session of the state akin to sleep, right here, together. Before tonight, before you lie down and close your eyes, there is preparation that will serve you well. The first preparation is the scene itself. You must choose it before you attempt the state. Do not try to construct your scene as you are drifting towards sleep. The mind is too loose then, too prone to wandering. Choose your scene now while you are alert. Choose it deliberately. Ask yourself, what is the single image that could only exist if my desire were already a fact? Write it down if you must. Make it specific. Make it sensory. Make it small, not a panorama of your whole new life, but one moment within it. The moment that implies all the rest, the congratulations being offered, the question being asked at the dinner table as though it is normal to ask it, the comfortable weight of the thing you have been wanting, now simply there. Second preparation, the approach to sleep itself. In the hour before you lie down, guard your attention. Do not consume content that stirs anxiety, conflict, or fear. Do not rehearse what you do not want. The state you enter sleep in is the state you deepen through the night. Begin to move inward gently as you would approach a flame you do not want to extinguish. Third preparation, the breath. When you lie down and close your eyes, take 3 slow breaths before you begin anything. Not forced, not dramatic. Simply 3 slow, complete breaths that signal to the body, we are releasing now. We are done with the day. What begins now is different from what came before, and then you begin your scene. I want to address something practical that many people struggle with. What do you do when doubt arises during the state? When you are lying there, inhabiting your scene, and suddenly a thought intrudes, this is foolish, nothing has changed, this will never work. Do not argue with it. Do not try to suppress it. Simply notice it, as you would notice a sound from the street outside your window, and return your attention to the scene. The doubt is simply the conscious mind doing what it always does, reporting what it observes as real. You are not fighting it. You are simply not giving it your dwelling place. You are choosing, moment by moment, where you live in consciousness. Now there is one mistake I must warn you against, because I have seen it undo more people than any other error. It is the mistake of checking, after your session of the state akin to sleep, the next morning or the day after or the week after. The human tendency is to look for evidence, to examine your outer world for signs that something is happening, to watch the phone, the mail, the behavior of other people for proof that the imaginal act is working. Do not do this. The moment you begin checking, you have shifted back into the state of wanting, of not yet having. And that state, inhabited with feeling, will crystallize its own reality just as surely as the state of the wish fulfilled. What you must cultivate instead is what I would call confident indifference, not denial of what your senses report, not pretense that conditions have changed when they have not, but a deep, settled confidence like the farmer's that what you have planted is growing and that the harvest comes in its own right season, according to a law that is perfect and without exception. Go about your day, live your life, let the imaginal act do its work beneath the surface, and when doubt arises, because it will arise, remind yourself of the law, persist in your assumption, and return each night to your scene. This is the practice, this is the discipline, and I tell you from my own experience, there is no circumstance so fixed, no condition so stubborn, no door so firmly shut that this practice cannot open it. Close your eyes now. Let the body settle, let the shoulders drop, let the hands open and rest. Take one breath, let it go slowly. Now bring to mind the scene you have chosen, the one small, specific moment that implies your wish fulfilled. See it from the inside. You are not watching yourself from a distance. You are there, looking out through your own eyes. What do your hands feel? Let them feel it now. What do you hear? The sounds of that moment, near and familiar. What is the quality of the air around you? Is there light, a particular warmth? Now let the feeling settle in, not excitement, normalcy. This is your life. This is simply how it is now. Stay in this moment. Breathe gently. Let the scene become natural, the way familiar rooms become natural. You stop noticing the details because they are simply home. Feel the ease of it, the quiet, the doneness. Stay here as long as feels natural. And when your mind wanders, return gently, without judgment, to this moment, this one small, real moment in your new life. Breathe. You do not need to rush back. Stay here a little longer. This is the state akin to sleep. This is the door. I told you about the woman who came to my lecture in Lowe's Angels, 41 years old, 11 years of wanting, arms folded in the back row. She tried what I taught her that night. Not perfectly, she told me so herself. The first night the scene felt strange, effortful. She drifted into sleep, still wondering if she was doing it correctly, but she returned, night after night, and she cultivated, gradually, the feeling not of wanting a husband, but of being a woman whose husband was simply there. She stopped rehearsing the absence. She began, in the threshold of sleep, to rehearse the presence. 7 months later, she married a man she had known for years, but had never truly seen, because she had not before occupied the state in which he could appear to her as what he truly was. She told me, I did not find him. I became the woman he was already looking for. That is the law. You do not acquire what you want by trying harder in the outer world. You crystallize it by inhabiting the inner state as though it were already so. The world must then rearrange itself to conform. It has no other choice. This is not poetry. This is the law of consciousness. And it works every time, without exception. Dare to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled tonight, not tomorrow, not when the conditions improve. Tonight, at the threshold of sleep, inhabit the scene you have chosen and let your consciousness do what it was built to do. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you hold with yourself in those final moments before sleep takes you. Choose that conversation carefully. Persist in your assumption. The world must conform to it. If these teachings speak to something within you, you will find more of them here. Return when you are ready. I will take you deeper. There is always more to discover.